I would like to thank principal of the college and convener of the conference, Pallavi madam, and also my gurus, Professor K.M. Pandey, Professor Sadasiv Dwivedi, colleagues from English department of the college, and other members in the audience, faculty members, research scholars and students. I'll be brief, as brief as I can be, because I have to catch a flight and there are other members in the contingent. Ramayana tradition comprises four primary aspects. One is oral literary, two performing, three religious, and fourth pictorial. These elements coexist, overlap, intermingle, fostering mutual exchanges. It is through this intricate interplay that we can grasp the true essence of Ramayana and its significance in arts and daily lives of people across Asia. This multifaceted tradition not only preserves the epic stories and values, but also enriches cultural expressions, influences artistic endeavors, and shapes religious practices, making it a cornerstone of Asian heritage. Ramayana tradition, as I told you, manifested through four interconnected aspects. Orally, the epic is recited and preserved through traditional storytellers like Kathavachaks. Religiously, Ramayana is integral to Hindu rituals and temple worship. Pictorially, it is represented in vibrant artworks like Ramsai paintings from Rajasthan. And of course, performance-wise, it is dramatized in Ram Leela. So these are four integral aspects. And all of us know, although there are variations and there are contrasting opinions, Valmiki's Ramayana serves as the foundational source for all these Ram Katha narratives. Although there have been there have been versions of stories in different languages, including Sanskrit, where we have Ramopakhyan section of Mahabharata, Agastya Samhita, Adhyatma Ramayana, Adbhut Ramayana, Vishnu Puran, Bhagavad Puran, Vayu Puran, and all these texts contribute uniquely to different perspectives and thematic expansions. In fact, in Sanskrit literature also, we have Kalidas's Raghuvans Mahakavyam, we have Kumar Pal's Janaki Haranam, Bhavabhuti's Das Kumar Charitam, Uttar Ram Charitam, and there are many more texts, that focus on Ram Katha. A.K. Ramanujan, in his very famous essay, 300 Ramayanas, 5 examples and 3 thoughts on translation, emphasizes the diversity and richness of Ramayana tradition. He points out that there are numerous retellings of Ramayana story, each differing in various ways. And that's why Ramanujan prefers the term tellings to versions. He does not like the versions of Ramayana, because when you do that, you immediately presume that Ramayana of Valmiki is the foundational text, which may not be the case, as Sir was telling in his previous lecture, that there are many writers, there are many poets who do not correspond to or conform to the story given by Valmiki in his Ramayana. And that's why A.K. Ramanujan prefers the term tellings over versions or variants. Now, A.K. Ramanujan underscores the traditional distinction between Katha and Kavya also. I am not going into the details because I don't have time. However, what you have to understand that Ramanujan is also highlighting that although the core plot of Ramayana may be consistent across various tellings, it is narrated differently in different writers. How there are differences in narrative style, there are differences in tone, and there are diverse interpretations and experiences of the story. I'll particularly focus on Hindi tellings of Ramayana today. First, like early mention of Ramayana story can be found in Prithviraj Raso's Chandvardai, where Ram Katha is part of Dashavatar of Vishnu, where Bhagwan Ram has also been invoked in Mangala Charan of Prithviraj Raso. And if you move to medieval period, there were several bhakti poets like Ramanujacharya, Madhavacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbark, Ramanand, Chaitanya, Vallabhacharya. They also talk of Ram, they also worship Ram, and they have also propagated narratives of Ram, although from a religious point of view. Among them, Ramanand was very popular, and his Ramanandi Sampradaya, of whom one important member whom I am just going to mention because lack of time I am not mentioning anyone else. I will just mention one particular poet of Ramanandi Sampradaya, also influenced by Sufism. His name was Kabir. कबीर says, एक राम दशरथ को बेटा, एक राम घट घट में बैठा, एक राम को सकल परासा, एक राम त्रिभुवन से न्यारा. Now it's not, you see, we can look at Ram differently. If you are a bhakt, you can have Sagun Bhakti of Ram. If you don't believe in Sagun Bhakti, if you believe in Nirgun Bhakti, you can consider that Ram to be Nirakar, Param Brahma, whatever name you want to give it, Sachidanand. So what Kabir Das is saying? Kabir Das is saying, एक राम दशरथ को बेटा. एक राम तो वो हैं जो दशरथ के बेटे हैं, दैहिक राम जो हैं. Alright? Ek Ram, so first Ram is, who is the first Ram? So first Ram is the historical Ram. Historical Ram, the son of King Dasarath. The second Ram signifies immanent aspect of divinity. कह रहे हैं कबीर दास जी क्या कह रहे हैं कि एक राम घट घट में बैठा. Divinity of Ram is manifested in each and every aspect of this creation. I, you, whatever exists in this world, that Ram can be found everywhere in everything. So the second Ram is the expression of immanent divinity, which is manifested in each and every aspect of nature. Now third Ram, तीसरे राम कौन है? एक राम को सकल परासा. The third Ram is omnipresent, existing in all forms and beings throughout the universe. And this aligns with the concept of Brahma given by Advaita, where Brahma is ultimate, formless, infinite, neti, neti. So, basically, and Kabir Das also says that if you have to know the true Ram, you have to go beyond the idea of physical, mental and casual planes of existence. You know, unless you leave these three worlds of existence, you cannot know that Ram, because that Ram is nowhere outside, that Ram is inside you. And that's why in Kabir, the focus is on looking within. You know, that is the point Kabir is making. I'll move from, Kabir Das also says, ऐसा राम कबीर ने जाना, धर्मदास सुनियो दे काना, सुन के परे पुरुष को धामा, तह साहब है आदि अनामा, ताहि धाम सब जीव का दाता, मैं सब सो कहता निज बाता, रहत अगोचर सबके पारा, आदि अनादि पुरुष है प्यारा. Now it's very much obvious to you. It's like Kabir is, his language is so simple that anyone can understand that. So basically, sun ke pare, you know, that void, that infinity, that nothingness, where you cannot say this is what Ram is and you cannot say this is not what Ram is. So Ram is both immanent as well as transcendent. Alright? And that's why it's not that Ram Katha generates only the idea of historical Ram, where you are looking for a Ram who has committed some crime or who has done some good deed. It's not about that. Ram is not only a person, Ram is also an idea. And in this talk I am focusing on Ram as an idea, what he stands to us as individuals of 21st century. And then he goes on. I'll move to Tulsidas ji now. Tulsidas ji in his Ramcharit Manas, he says, Saguna hi aguna hi nahi kachu bheda, gawa hi mun puran buddhi buddha bheda. So there is no difference between that Sagun Ram and Nirgun Ram. Basically both Sagun Ram and Nirgun Ram, personal Ram and impersonal Ram, whatever name you want to give him, they are one and the same. However, you know, for me Tulsidas is interesting because he gives you an idea how Ram stands in minds of people as a model of governance. And Tulsidas says that in Ram Rajya, दैहिक दैविक भौतिक तापा, राम राज नहीं काहू ही व्यापा, सब नर करहि परस्पर प्रीति, चलहि स्वधर्म निरत श्रुति नीति, चारिउ चरण धर्म जग माही, पूरी रहा सपनेहु अघनाही, राम भगति रत अरु नर नारी, सकल परम गति के अधिकारी, अल्प मृत्यु नहीं कवनऊ पीरा, सब सुंदर सब बिरजु शरीरा, नहीं दरिद्र कोई दुख नहीं दीना, नहीं कोई अबुद न लक्षण हीना. Now you see, you all know that Ram Raj is a, you can call it a utopia, you can call it a fantasy world, you can call it a process, all right, where there is no pain, where there is no suffering, where there is no death. It's not that people are not dying, there is no fear of death, all right. So men and women are devoted to Ram. There is no untimely death. Everything is beautiful. Everyone is healthy. No one is poor. All right. And what Gandhi translates as Sarvodaya, unto the last. Now, why I am referring to Gandhi? Because the idea of Ram Raj, which Tulsidas was talking about, was later appropriated by Gandhi, and he also defines Ram Raj. And what he says about Ram Raj, he says, and I quote him. For Gandhi, Ram Raj is an enlightened anarchy. And I am using these words very carefully. For Gandhi, Ram Raj is enlightened anarchy. What do I mean by enlightened anarchy? Because enlightened anarchy would be a state where there is no need for political governance. There is no need for political institutions or political power. Why? Because Gandhi says in his idea of Swaraj, that we have to create a moral and ethical society where self-regulation, mutual respect and genuine care for one another is so much replete that traditional structures of power and traditional institutions of political governance are not required. So all of us, Atta Deepo Bhava, what Buddha says, so if we become that, so Ram Rajya or idea of Ram also stands for that. In Ram Raj, all of us would be so enlightened, all of us would be so self-regulated, although that is utopia. That's what you have to understand. We also have to try for that utopia, whether that is practically possible or not. So basically what for Tulsidas, this becomes very important. So Ram Raj becomes a welfare state, a welfare democratic state where even public opinion does not matter. Even public opinion does not matter in the sense because your opinion, public opinion may be biased. Bhattacharya Group in Saket says, Ram tum manav ho, ईश्वर नहीं हो क्या, विश्व में रमे हुए नहीं, सभी कहीं हो क्या, तब मैं निरीश्वर हूँ, ईश्वर क्षमा करें, तुम न रमो तो मन तुम में रमा करें. Now Maithili Saran Gupta is expressing our anxiety, whether to consider Bhagwan Ram as Bhagwan, as Lord, as God, as protector, so on and so forth, or to consider him as human. That is a point which Maithili Saran Gupta is debating. All right, and basically the idea is that Ram, of course, is what you call transcendent. Ram can also be immanent divinity expressing itself in forms of nature, but Ram is also human, and that's why in 20th century we have what I call humanization of Lord Ram or secularization of theological idea of Ram. All right. So basically there is an existential uncertainty. All right, many of us would not be very sure here as 21st century, क्या करें, माने भगवान को, faith भी है, तर्क भी है, श्रद्धा भी है, जैसे कामायनी में विश्वास भी है. एक एंजाइटी भी हम लोगों के अंदर रहती है. भगवान राम की आलोचना जैसे मैडम कह रही थी, पल्लवी मैडम की, उन्होंने सीता क्या कहते हैं कि पोस्ट कोलोनियल ऐसे पढ़ाना है, पोस्ट मॉडर्न ऐसे पढ़ाना है. बेसिकली दैट इज नथिंग बट एन एक्सप्रेशन ऑफ एंजाइटी, बट दैट एंजाइटी इन माय ओपिनियन इज टेम्पररी, इट्स नॉट परमानेंट. सो दैट्स वन. I'll now move to Suryakant Tripathi Nirala's poem Ram Ki Shakti Puja, and I'll give 5 minutes to that because it's a very important moment in Hindi literature. And in fact, Suryakant Tripathi's Nirala's portrayal of Ram transcends mere mythological storytelling. All right, Ram does not here become or remain only a mythological character, or if you don't call him mythological character, historical character. All right, so Basically, he becomes a contemporary. So there is contemporization of Ram. So all of us try to contemporize Ram. We want to have Ram as our contemporary, what Ram could have done, what Lord Ram could have done, what Bhagwan Ram could have done, so on and so forth. So that's what we have in Ram Ki Shakti Puja. Basically, Nirala also goes deeper into psychological complexities of Ram's character, and unlike the traditional portrayal of Ram, where Ram is the epitome of divine perfection, Nirala's Ram is a middle class Ram. All right, someone who has been afflicted by a problem. He has an immediate problem at hand. He has to defeat Ravan. And Nirala says, and it's a beautiful poem. It's a very difficult poem, but it's a beautiful poem. So he says, Ravi hua ast, ज्योति के पत्र पर लिखा अमर, रह गया राम रावण का अपराजेय समर, रावण प्रहार दुर्वार विकल, वानर दलबल मूर्छित, सुग्रीवा अंगद भीषण गवाक्ष गैनल, वारित सौमित्र भल्लपति अगणित मल्ल रोध, गर्जित प्रलयाविद क्षुब्ध हनुमत केवल प्रबोध, प्रशमित है वातावरण नमित मुख सांद कमल, लक्ष्मण चिंता पल पल पीछे वानर वीर सकल, रघुनायक आगे अवनी पर नवनीत चरण. So you can read these lines, how poetic, and how, the lines also echo what you can call the musical tones of war, and how Ram prashamita hai vatavaran. All right, the entire atmosphere is dejected. Why? Because Ram feels, there is a moment when Ram feels he cannot defeat Ravan. He cannot. Because Ravan is so powerful. Why? Because Srikant Tripathi Nirala would tell you that Mahashakti Ravan ke saath. Shakti ka, because it is influenced by Bangla Ramayana, and there you have Shakta tradition. So Shakti, the idea of Shakti is more important than the idea of Vishnu. All right. So because Shakti is with Ravan, so Ram feels that at that moment. Now you see this, he calls it Aparajaya Samar. This battle between Ram and Ravan is not a temporary historical battle between Ram of the then times and Ravan of the then times. This battle is a cosmic struggle between good and evil, with which all of us, all of us have to fight that battle. There is Ram within us, there is Ravan within us, and that cosmic battle is being manifested in all of us through that cosmic Leela, you can call it. So that's why he calls it Aparajaya Samar. And then he says, and then this eternal struggle symbolizes the ongoing battle between good and evil, divine righteousness and demonic tyranny. It suggests that such monumental conflicts are not confined to specific moments, but resonate through time, representing the perpetual challenge of moral integrity against malevolence. And he says, है अमानिशा उगलता गगन अंधकार, को रहा दिशा का ज्ञान, स्तब्ध है पवनचार, अप्रतिहत गरज रहा पीछे अम्बुद विशाल, भूधर जो ध्यान मग्न केवल जलती मशाल. And then he goes on, स्थिर राघवेंद्र को हिला रहा फिर संशय. जैसे हम लोग संशय में हैं कि भगवान राम को क्या माने, वैसे भगवान राम के अंदर भी संशय है. तो कह रहे हैं कि स्थिर राघवेंद्र को, राघवेंद्र तो स्थिर हैं, ही स्टेड फास्ट, बट फिर भी उनको क्या हिला रहा है? स्थिर राघवेंद्र को रहा हिला फिर संशय, रह रह उठता, हमेशा नहीं, रह रह उठता जग जीवन में रावण जय भय. All right, so the fear of the victory of, what will happen if Ravan becomes victorious? To praise Ravan is okay, कथा भी लिख सकते हो, कहानी भी लिख सकते हो आप, लेकिन अगर रावण वास्तव में जीत जाए तब क्या हो? अगर हमारे सामान्य जनजीवन में अगर रावण विजयी होता दिखाई देगा तो हमको कैसा लगेगा? तो वो जो अंतर्द्वंद है राम के मन में, कहीं न कहीं अब थोड़ा सा कहीं न कहीं ऐसा लग रहा है कि आत्मविश्वास कहीं डगमग न हो जाए, तो उसमें क्या करते हैं वो? So basically, and then how poetry is able to translate that experience through symbols, through imagery. And then he says, बैठे मारुति देखा चरणार विंद युग अस्ति नास्ति के एक रूप गुण गुण अनिंद, साधना मध्य भी साम्य वाम कर दक्षिण पद दक्षिण कर तल पर वाम चरण कपिवर गदगद पा सत्य सच्चिदानंद रूप विश्राम धाम, जपते सभक्ति अजपा विभक्त हो राम नाम. And Nirala's Ram is also not disconnected from tradition. राम उनके कौन से हैं? अस्ति नास्ति का एक रूप, जो मैंने आपको पहले बताया कि सगुण अस्ति नास्ति निर्गुण. तो निराला के राम भी ऐसा नहीं कि बिल्कुल एकदम अपने तरह से इमेजिन कर रहे हैं. निराला एक परंपरा में लिख रहे हैं, और उस परंपरा में निराला के राम कैसे हैं? अस्ति नास्ति के एक रूप, साधना मध्य भी साम्य, और कह रहे हैं कि पा सत्य सच्चिदानंद रूप. Hanumanji is looking at Ram, and what Hanumanji finds about him, that he is Swaroop of Satchidanand, the truth, the consciousness, the true consciousness, and the bliss. And then Japate Sabhakti Ajpa Vibhakt ho Ram Naam. Hanuman and Ram, they are not separate. But still, because they are playing, they are having लीला, therefore वो जप रहे हैं राम नाम. क्योंकि वास्तव में तो हम लोग क्या है, हम लोग सब लोग क्या है, भगवान के स्वरूप है. नॉन डुअलिस्टिक आइडिया ऑफ राम. सो निराला also borrows from tradition. And then he says, बोले रघुमन मित्रवर विजय होगी न समर, यह नहीं रहा नरवानर का राक्षस से रण, उतरी पा महाशक्ति रावण से आनंद आमंत्रण, अन्याय जिधर है उधर शक्ति, कहते छल छल हो गए नयन, कुछ बूद पुनः ढल के दृग्जल. You know what Nirala says? Nirala humanizes Ram, and Ram is saying अन्याय जिधर है उधर शक्ति. दुनिया में ऐसा ही होता है. अक्सर आप देखते हैं कि जिधर अन्याय है शक्ति भी क्या है, उधर ही लगी हुई है, उधर ही कंट्रीब्यूट कर रही है. And that's why भगवान राम और राम is suspicious, is having anxiety. और कहते छल छल हो गए नयन. And when he was saying, क्या जब उन्होंने कहा कि अन्याय इधर है उधर शक्ति, कहते छल छल हो गए नयन, he was crying. कुछ बूद पुनः ढल के दृग्जल. लेकिन but Ram has a counselor, and his counselor this time is Jamon. You know, Jamon is a counselor. He counsels Hanuman also, and in Nirala's poem he counsels Ram. So he says, बोले विश्वस्त कंठ से जाम्बवान, रघुवर विचलित होने का नहीं देखता मैं कारण, हे पुरुष सिंह तुम भी यह शक्ति करो धारण, आराधन का दृढ़ आराधन से दो उत्तर, तुम भरो विजय संयत प्राणों से प्राणों पर, रावण अशुद्ध होकर भी यदि कर सका त्रस्त, तो निश्चय तुम हो सिद्ध करोगे उसे ध्वस्त, शक्ति की करो मौलिक कल्पना करो पूजन, छोड़ दो समर जब तक न सिद्धि हो रघुनंदन. Chaman says, if Ravan can appease Shakti, you can also. Why? Because Ravan's mind is impure. Ravan is ashuddh. So if power can be impure, power can also be pure. And that's what you have to understand, the idea of power which Nirala is talking about. Power is what? Power is energy also, and power is political power or institutional power or whatever kind of power. इसको हम लोग कहते हैं सत्ता. पावर शक्ति भी है और पावर सत्ता भी है. रावण का जो पावर है वो किसके लिए है? रावण का जो पावर है, जो रावण the idea of power for Ravan is for satta, but the idea of power for Ram is for shakti, for dharma. So he says, shakti ki karo maulik kalpana. You know, don't you think so? We are living in a world where power has been so brutally defined, where to be powerful means what? To be dominant, to be oppressive, to exploit, so on and so forth. But what Nirala is saying, Shakti ki karo maulik kalpana. You have to think of power which is pure. Power purged of all impurities of, what you associate with politics. And that's why in Nirala also, Ram becomes, just 1 minute, Ram becomes Rishi. Alright? क्यों? कि ऋषि जो क्या करता है, ऋषि वह शक्ति की मौलिक कल्पना करता है. ऋषि जो है, ऋषि के लिए शक्ति से तात्पर्य है शुद्धता से, यानी जो तपस. एंड देन ही सेज, छोड़ दो समर जब तक सिद्धि न हो रघुनंदन. एंड देन ही गोज ऑन, एंड फाइनली एट द एंड भगवान राम इज अपीजिंग गॉडेस शक्ति. एंड देन 108 कमल दल चाहिए, 107 रहते हैं, एक जो है कम पड़ता है. अचानक होते हैं तो मेरी सिद्धि पूरी नहीं होगी, तो क्या करते हैं, उनको याद आता है कि उनकी माँ कहती हैं कि कहती थी माँ मुझको राजीव नयन. उनकी माँ उनको राजीव कमल नयन कहती थी. तो अपनी तलवार या धनुष जो भी निकालते हैं, कहते हैं कि मैं अभी अर्पण करने जा रहा हूँ. और जैसे अर्पण करने वाले होते हैं वैसे ही माँ शक्ति, माँ दुर्गा प्रकट होती हैं और कहती हैं, होगी जय हे पुरुषोत्तम नवीन. ये बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट बात है, यही मार्के की बात मुझे लगती है. पुरुषोत्तम नवीन, पहले मैंने सोचा ऐसे ही लिख दिया होगा, क्योंकि अगली लाइन है, कुछ महाशक्ति राम के वदन में हुई लीन. तो लीन से मान लीजिए छंद लगाना होगा तो लिख दिया होगा नवीन. बट यहाँ नवीन का तात्पर्य क्या है? पुरुषोत्तम नवीन. राम इज ऑलवेज मेकिंग हिमसेल्फ कंटेम्पोररी. राम ऑफ रामायण काल will be very different from Ram of 21st century, because times have changed, society has changed, culture has changed, and see the problem with us that we are stuck with that Ram. आज भी हम डिबेट कर रहे हैं उन्होंने सीता माता के साथ अच्छा किया कि नहीं किया, बुरा किया. अरे भाई, जब आदमी अवतार लेगा, लीला करेगा, उसकी कुछ समस्याएं होंगी, उस समस्याओं में उसका एक तरह से फ्रेमवर्क होगा. वो गलत है, सही है, दोनों तरह के उत्तर आप लोगों ने सुने. कुछ लोगों ने कहा कि उसको जस्टिफाई भी करने की कोशिश की, कुछ लोगों ने उसको कहा गलत है. इस तरीके से जो भी अपना करना. लेकिन यहाँ बात, अब हमको केवल पौराणिक काल के राम या महाभारत काल के राम, रामायण काल के राम, गुप्त काल के राम, हर युग के लिए हमें अपना राम गढ़ना है. और सर ज़्यादा जानते होंगे कि यदा यदा ही धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारतम अभ्युत्थानम अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. यानी हर युग में मैं अवतार लेता हूँ. तो इसका मतलब राम हमारे बीच से कहीं चले नहीं गए. और इसीलिए निराला राम को क्या कह रहे हैं? पुरुषोत्तम नवीन, जिसको जीबी शॉ कहता है न्यू मैन, न्यू वुमन कहता है, और न्यू मैन भी कहता है. न्यू तो फोकस नहीं गया. तो निराला के राम क्या है? न्यू मैन है. निराला राम इज न्यू मैन, and this is what I call humanization of Ram in literature. So let us worship whatever Ram. राम किसी के भी हो सकते हैं. राम हिंदुओं के हो सकते हैं, मुसलमानों के हो सकते हैं, ईसाइयों के हो सकते हैं, क्रिश्चियन के हो सकते हैं. कैसे हो सकते हैं? अगर हम कबीर के राम को मानेंगे, अगर हम अद्वैत वेदांत के राम को मानेंगे, फिर कोई झगड़ा ही नहीं रहेगा. प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि हम राम को वैसे देखना चाहते हैं जैसे हम हैं. अपने जैसे राम को देखने से पहले हमको ये देखना होगा कि हमारे अंदर जो राम है वो कैसा है. तो हमको सबसे पहले अपने अंदर के राम को देखना होगा, और बार बार राम को नवीनीकरण, राम का भी नवीनीकरण करना होगा. जैसा आपने बताया कि ग्रंथ लिखे जाते हैं हमारी परंपरा में, और राम की कथा का, उनके वो राम कथा के पात्रों का क्या होता रहता है? नवीनीकरण होता है. उसमें कोई समस्या नहीं है. उसको आप कह सकते हो रिविजनिस्ट. अगर अंग्रेजी में पढ़ा नहीं रहा था, क्योंकि अंग्रेजी मैंने इसलिए चर्चा नहीं की क्योंकि वहाँ एक पर्टिकुलर फ्रेमवर्क है, और कभी कभी ऐसा लगता है कुछ ज़्यादा हो जाता है, कभी ऐसा लगता है पढ़ने के बाद. तो मैंने सोचा हिंदी करता हूँ. सो थैंक यू एवरीवन फॉर योर पेशेंट लिसनिंग. थैंक यू.